Afternoon, we go beyond the flashbulbs and fairy tales and talk about the truth beyond and behind the triumph, the sacrifices, sometimes the loneliness, the pressure, the grace. This is not a conversation about success, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is a conversation about survival spirit and staying human through it all. All right, are we ready?
So before we move on, I would just like to say, and on behalf of Deepika and myself, that Karan is not an anchor. We thank him and we are extremely grateful for being kind enough to do this interview. A filmmaker of the highest reckoning in our country, one of the nicest people, a fantastic producer like his father used to be, a brilliant script writer, and I have been fortunate enough to have worked with him, so thank you. And I hope one day Deepika also gets a chance to work with this wonderful film director and producer. Thank you, Karan, for doing this for us. Bless you, man.
Let me begin by saying that this is truly, truly, truly exciting for me, not just as a filmmaker, as a cinegoer, but also knowing you both very personally over decades. With Bhai, of course, it's been 3 decades, and I still remember my first interaction with Deepika at Mannat. I met Deepika when she was shooting for Om Shanti Om. Probably didn't know it then that she would go on to become a global phenomena, and so proud, Deepika, of every achievement of yours. Congratulations. With Bhai, I don't need to say his achievements speak beyond even his brand. I mean, they're everywhere. Having seen him on red carpets and seen him achieve global glory, every achievement of his somehow feels very personal, not just to me, but to the entire nation. If I go back, and because our topic talks about being an outsider to the movie business, to the world of Indian cinema, what was the hunger inside you that really fueled you at that point of time? Was it ambition, proving something, running from pain, running towards a dream? What was the origin of that emotion?
So when I just first like to clarify, because there's a lot of discussion. You know, hunger, ambition, all these are lofty words, and it's wonderful to describe yourself and say कि हाँ मैं बहुत भूखा था, मैंने बहुत मेहनत की. These are lofty words once you have made it big, so I don't believe in them. I also have a problem about distinction of this insider and outsider. I think it is not important where you come from. It is not important कि आप किस जगह से आए हो और इस वर्ल्ड में बसना चाहते हो. Actually what is important is आप इस वर्ल्ड में, या जो भी वर्ल्ड आप चूज करो, बिजनेस है, फिल्म्स है, पॉलिटिक्स है, आप उसमें अपनी जगह कैसे बनाना चाहते हो. What happens is most people start thinking, oh, I'm from the outside world, only the privileged will get a chance. I don't have such a distinguished background, I will not get it. So if you start wallowing in self-pity and thinking these things, you will never give your full force of energy to make a space for yourself in the world that you want to be part of. So, ऐसा नहीं है. ये जो दुनिया होती है ना जिसमें भी हम घुसना चाहते हैं, थोड़ा इनसाइड आउटसाइड सब बात करते हैं. It's like a sphere. और sphere में जगह, actually let me also tell you, this world, whichever world you want, does not give a damn about you. It does not make you very insignificant. उनको कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता दीपिका कहाँ से आई, शाहरुख कहाँ से आया, करण कहाँ से आया, ये फिल्मी है, नॉन फिल्मी है, गरीब है, अमीर है. But आपकी choice. So you have to find space in that sphere by pushing it and working hard, finding out how this world works, and then give your best to it. And जब मैं यहाँ पर आया था, I never thought I cannot be part of this world because I'm an outsider. I believed यही मेरी दुनिया है. And to be honest, everybody in the film industry from day one embraced me with open arms, like a new sun landing on Marine Drive. So I felt like ये दुनिया मेरी है, ये जगह मेरी है, because I believed this is the world I want to belong to. And I lost, I think in 24 hours, one whole family, and I gained a new family. So I think what is important is to believe you want to be part of this world, make those choices. Ambition, hunger, pain, problems, those are just lofty words. You just need to be determined. ये मेरी दुनिया है और मुझे यहाँ पर काम करना है. I had the ability I had the skill maybe a little bit, बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं, इतना talented नहीं हूँ मैं, but I had lots of hard work, and that's all you need to make a place for yourself if you're an outsider. Yeah. Next answer, इतना serious नहीं दूंगा, so we can enjoy more. Okay.
Deepika, do you remember what the beginning felt like when you started your journey? I mean, when you began your journey with Shah Rukh himself in Om Shanti Om, did you realize, did you feel, what was that feeling? What was that exact kind of emotion that, went through you?
I have to agree with Shah Rukh that these are terms that we seem to be discussing now, insider, outsider. When I began, it was just a new world. I was a 16, 17-year-old girl who came from Bangalore, and Farah Khan showed interest in casting me in a movie. I was transitioning between Bangalore and Mumbai at the time, and she didn't even audition me. I remember doing a meeting with her once, and she said, I want you to meet Shah Rukh once, and he was shooting for Chak De in Australia at the time. And she said, once he's back, we'll do a meeting, and that was it. So for me, it just happened. Of course, I was a model before that, and they'd seen some of my work, but I never felt like I was an outsider trying to make my place in a new industry. Or I had the dedication, I had the passion, I had the determination, the hard work. Those were the things in my control, and those were the things that I applied to what I was passionate about. But as a child, I felt like somewhere as a kid, I knew that whatever I do in my life, I will do it well, to the best of my ability. And then, Om Shanti Om happened, and again, a place where I was just allowed to thrive, make mistakes. I never was made to feel like a newcomer or an outsider, and you've seen that so closely, Karan, in the way that I was presented. I can't think of the last time, a newcomer was given a double role. Such meaty roles and characters, and something that you could really sink your teeth into, and opposite the biggest superstar of our country. I mean, it's unheard of, right? Call it destiny, hard work, whatever. But I think the point being that it just felt like home. It felt comfortable. I could make mistakes. I could be vulnerable. And I think that's why I was able to thrive, and then the movie went on to do what it did, because it was just made with a lot of love.
Were there points though, and this is something that I'm sure you've sort of, you've gone through those beats emotionally, Bhai, if I have to ask you, where you felt like things are not right, that that this is time for me to take a step back, because with all the achievement there also comes a certain level of loneliness, self-assessment, and then there comes a time where you feel like, should I just take a step back from everything, because times are different now for me than they were before.
The only time some years back, I was sitting at home, and Karan Johar came to my house with a script. I won't name the script. And the script required me to be wearing a skirt throughout the film. That is the only time I wanted to step back. I said, यार इतने ऐसा तो नहीं होगा यार, मैं स्कर्ट पहन के पिक्चर में काम करूंगा. It was one of those films in olden times where men wore skirts. But men wore skirts, not androgynous men like me wearing skirts. So
it was the character, bhai. I think it wasn't anything.
वो character के लिए तू खुद स्कर्ट पहन के खुद एक्टिंग करना जब तेरा दिल करे.
Where people would believe I could wear a skirt and do a film, I can assure you.
मैं pants में ठीक हूँ. But having said that, no, I've never felt the desire. Yes, whenever I failed, I have always felt the failure twice as much than I would, because I never do it personally. कि मेरी फिल्म फ्लॉप हो गई, मेरा काम खराब हो गया. So I go through these pangs that I've let down lots of people around the world, because I know in 35 years बहुत सारे लोग बहुत प्रेम से, बहुत दिल में चाह रखकर मेरी फिल्म देखने आते हैं कि हम एंटरटेन होंगे, हम खुश होंगे. तो जब मैं गंदी पिक्चर बनाता हूँ ना तो मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा मैं पर्सनली लेता हूँ, एज इफ आई हैव मे बी इंसल्टेड द ट्रस्ट दैट दे हैव इन मी, सो इट रियली बॉग्स मी डाउन. फिर मेरा एक मेथड है, फिर मैं रोता हूँ बाथरूम में लॉक करके अपने आप को, फिर 1-2 दिन ऐसा दुखी हो जाता हूँ. बट आई हैव नेवर फेल्ट दैट आई एम डिफीटेड. आई हैव नेवर फेल्ट कि मैं गिर गया अब उठ नहीं सकता. आई एम वेरी क्लियर ऑन दैट कि दुख बहुत होता है, रोना भी बहुत आता है, परेशानी भी बहुत होती है. 1-2 बार मैंने कुकिंग भी सीख ली कि एक्टिंग छोड़ता हूँ, शेफ बन जाता हूँ, लेकिन हारता कभी नहीं हुआ. मैं आई नो आई डोंट अलाउ defeat to overtake me. I get beaten, I maybe fall down, but I don't allow. So no, I've never, ever, I'm being honest, I'm not being pompous. I never, ever feel defeated vis-a-vis my work. I feel bad that I have done it wrong and bad, but I never feel.
When we look at your journey, almost we can say this with utter confidence that you could be the brand ambassador for resilience, because you have weathered those storms, weathered them beautifully, emerged from them even more victoriously. I don't think any amount of analysis is enough to describe your journey as a movie star, and I think there never will be a journey like that.
It is. From Deepika and my film Om Shanti Om, I feel like the king of the world.
Well, Deepika, if I had to ask you, there is an expression that goes, it's lonely at the top. It's been said, movie stars, rock stars of the world have admitted to it. And two things happen. One, it sometimes can be lonely, and the other is like, how do you protect your relationships? Because, you can feel isolated with all that achievement. So if I had to, it's a double-part question. Is it lonely at the top, A? And how have you protected your relationships through your journey of superstardom?
I don't know if it's lonely at the top, but I've always been a very, I'm inherently a very shy person. So it's very difficult for me to make new friends and open up. Once I do, then they're friends for life. But I've always been a very shy and introverted and awkward person in social gatherings. Karan, you know this. I'm very, very awkward. So for me, I think what I've held on to very dearly are my friends from school, my family. I think that's what, I think they keep me rooted, they keep me grounded. I've had a bunch of friends from school, and that's what, continues even to this date. But lonely at the top, I don't know. Yeah, no, it's not. Okay.
In a sense, you both have that in common. One thing about Shah Rukh and Deepika, that they're both very awkward in social outings. While they are massive movie stars and have what is perceived as extroverted personalities, far from the truth. You have to know this about Shah Rukh Khan. He's the most awkward at a party. He likes to find a corner and be there. And try taking him into a departmental store or any kind of place where there are people, and he will be awkward. The same goes with Deepika. There is this duality, right? That people expect you to be a certain kind of person. Combating that duality is tough sometimes. Because people have a way of expecting you to always be Shah Rukh Khan. How tough is that?
I don't know. I don't work for expectations. I don't work for any other reason. I only do anything that I do with lot of reality to it. मैं बहुत सच्चाई से करता हूँ. मुझे अगर कोई चीज़ अच्छी नहीं लगती, if I don't like it, I don't do it. So, but I'd be very honest. I don't know more than being anything else as an actor. I love making people smile and make them happy. So when I come on the stage, I can be very shy, I can be very awkward, I am, all that. And that's why I love Deepika, because she's taller than me. So what happens is, when we go out to a party, I can hide behind her.
It's true. They're two awkward people, and then he runs behind me, and then I'm running behind him, and they're just trying to hide behind each other.
But there is no duality. It's very strange. मैं बहुत shy हूँ. But with hundreds and thousands of people, I'm very happy because I know I can bring happiness to them. But if I go to a personal party, I don't know how many people are going to get happy. मैं तेरी पार्टी पे आया. जैसे मैं करण को बोल रहा था कि जब पार्टी पे बुलाता है तो फैंसी ड्रेस पार्टी होती है. The theme is gold. कहाँ से लेके आऊंगा gold? The theme is shimmer, sizzle. तो ऐसा ना, then I feel very much like an outsider, like a penguin in a zoo, in the wrong cage. So तब मैं outsider जरूर feel करता हूँ. But you know, when if I come to your party and I stand in the middle of the party, Karan has lovely parties, we all know. I come to that party and if I do this, वहां पे एक भी आदमी ऐसा नहीं है जो ऐसा करेगा. सब ऐसे देखेंगे, अरे ये तो देखा हुआ है, क्या कर रहा है ये शाहरुख एंड ऑल. तो ये जो प्यार है makes me want to do things for real people. So this is not duality. All of them are my own. At parties, बहुत बार करूंगा, यही तो आता है करना यार. और आता क्या? So at parties, I meet strangers, known strangers. Yeah. In public, I meet my own. So I don't feel awkward with my family.
Yeah. Deepika, we spoke just briefly right now about the biggest joy of being a parent. In what way? I mean, you know, when I've been asked this question, in what way it changed me when, you know, Yash and Ruhi were born. And the first thing it did was bring in a sense of like responsibility that I've never felt before. Like, because, you know, two lives that you have to govern and nurture, and you're so accountable to those lives. Did you ever self-reflect about what's the big change that happened immediately after Dua was born and brought into your beautiful life?
You know, it's interesting that you're asking me that question now, Karan, because I feel like I'm discovering that. I'm discovering this new life post. Of course, like you're saying, the minute you've had a child, you're now responsible for another human being. And especially in our industry where everything has been so, or at least in the way that I've led my life, it's not an industry thing, sorry, it's in the way that I've led my life, it's been so much about me leaving home, my ambition, my career, everything has been about my life and everything that I wanted for myself, and now suddenly you're caring for this little thing, and that is dependent on you for everything. And I mean, I've always wanted to be a mother, so I'm, you know, enjoying every bit of that. But I think I'm now navigating what this new life for me post-motherhood is going to be. And, you know, just sort of being responsible, like you said, for another person.
Yeah.
And that person comes before you. I'm navigating that. I don't think I found the answers to that yet.
Well, you should ask the parent of the decade, like literally, because I want to tell you, each and every time I look at the way he is with his 3 children, I die of all kinds of complexes, because he's present for them at every juncture, at every annual day, every sports day, every event. He's training them to run. I can't do any of those things. I'm not physically capable, but like he's just like this model parent. Like, how do you even do it? And why do you do it? Because we die of that comparison.
So I'll tell you, I think it's a line by a writer, a lady writer called Sue Townshend, or maybe I'm wrong. But I read it somewhere when I was growing up, and maybe because, you know, I'd lost my parents, so it has some effect, but I don't want to go in the past. It said, the decision to have a child is the decision to allow or take a piece of your heart and allow it to walk outside your body.
That's so true.
So I think, sir, dil ka tukda aisa na, मेरी माँ हैदराबादी थी, अमा तुम्हारा दिल का टुकड़ा ना. So it's really a piece of heart walking out. मेरे पास 3 है, एक बड़ा हार्ट है, एक मीडियम हार्ट है, एक छोटा हार्ट है. छोटे छोटे पीसेस मेरे चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं. So I really feel, you know, even when you asked about the lonely at the top bit, I just like to tell everyone जो यहाँ पर हैं, जो जवान हैं, जिनके बच्चे नहीं, उनको मैं एक तरकीब बताऊंगा. जो मेरी उम्र के हैं या जिनके बच्चे हैं, उनको ये तरकीब बताऊंगा. You will never be lonely if you can make your children laugh. And those who don't have children, if you can make your parents laugh, you'll never be lonely. So I think this is, और मैं इतना फनी हूं मेरे बच्चों के लिए कि मैं उनको अगर कभी डांटता भी हूं या डांटता, मैंने आज तक डांटा ही नहीं बच्चों को, दीपिका को भी नहीं डांटा जब ओम शांति ओम में बच्ची आई। सो व्हेन आई से समथिंग कि अरे लिसन यू हैव टू स्लीप बाय 10 o'clock, मम्मा हैज सेड दिस, सो व्हाट डू? ओह माय गॉड, SRK, बेटे को हाथ लगाने से पहले, सो दे डू ऑल दिस। सो आई एम अ जोक इन माय हाउस, but more than a joke, I think I make my children happy, my family happy, my wife happy. And if you are young, then just make your parents happy, and you will never feel lonely in your life. I think that's the trick.
But there's just some things that you do that are very tough for us to emulate, because my son came to me once and said that Shah Rukh uncle trains Abraham before sports day. Why aren't you training me? I mean, can you imagine me training my son how to run on sports day? Do you think that's even physically possible? It's really quite terrifying.
I think, Karan, what you should do is, because Deepika is such a wonderful athlete, it's in her genes.
Send them to me.
नहीं, पहले करण तू ट्रेन हो जा हमारे से, उसके बाद तू जाके बच्चों को ट्रेन करना।
I don't know when this became a roast, but anyway. आपने जो भी कहा सर आंखों पर. But as you know, and this is a question I'm dying to ask really, by your own admission, you have said that you can romance even a tree. Now, everybody knows, and all of you wonderful women in the audience will agree, who can romance better than Shah Rukh Khan on screen? Chemistry is something that is always attributed to Shah Rukh Khan where it comes to his leading ladies. We all know Shah Rukh and Deepika have incredible on-screen chemistry. What really truly constitutes this word, chemistry? Like, is there something academically associated with it, or is it just in your DNA and you can't help it? Ako pyar aapse.
Only for Deepika. तेरी आंखों की नमकीन मस्ती. Don't interrupt while I'm trying to romance a Bartley. तेरी आंखों की नमकीन मस्तियां, तेरी हंसी की बेपरवाह गुस्ताखियां, तेरी जुल्फों की लहराती अंगड़ाइयां, नहीं भूलूंगा मैं जब तक है जान, जब तक है जान.
What constitutes this chemistry?
I think, honestly मैं बताऊं, I hope it's not like a cliched answer, but I have too much respect for women. It comes inherently, innately from inside me. It's not a thing that, it's not a facile thing that, you know, कि हम respect करते हैं औरतों को. I just feel genuine love for every woman that I meet, whether she's 6 years old or she's 60 years old. I just find them gentler, I just find them kinder, I find them the ones who provide nature. I don't know how to explain it. They're connected to God, Bhagwan, Allah. I think they're all connected in some way to nature. So I feel a lot of love for women in the rightest, kindest, most sensitive way of the word. So if you have respect in your eyes and you say things to a lady, even if it's like, would you like to come out for dinner with me, or something even more than that or less than that, I think it just feels more gentle and loved. I think that's chemistry. I don't know, it's a chemical reaction. I don't think it's a chemical reaction, apart from the dopamine and stuff that I said. But I think there is just respect is chemistry. I think that's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been an absolute pleasure and privilege to be in conversation with two cultural icons. Deepika Padukone, whose achievement I don't need to tell you about, her beauty, her grace, and her performances in movies through the decades have not only been admirable but have also been global, and her love that pours in towards her performances and her work and art has been, of course, literally something that we can go on and on about. Shah Rukh Khan, the living legend of Hindi and Indian cinema, in the hearts of millions of Asians across the world, is something that we don't need to reinstate. Thank you. Thank you, Shah Rukh Khan. Thank you, Deepika Padukone. Thank you for being in conversation with me. On behalf of Waves, we are truly grateful for your time this afternoon. Thank you very much.
welcome. You're watching NDTV. I'm Aarti Krishna. We'll bring you the latest from Jammu and Kashmir as far as the investigation into the Pahalgam terror attack is concerned. And not just that, more details that are surfacing of Pakistan backing terrorism. We'll bring you more on that. First, the headlines. Biggest ceasefire violation after Pahalgam terror attack. Pakistan ceasefire violation in 8 sectors. Ceasefire agreement in tatters. India's three-pronged action against Pakistan, an immediate ban on all goods originating in or exported from Pakistan, no Pakistani ships allowed, and no exchange of all categories of mail and parcels from Pakistan. Karnataka Deputy CM D.K. Shivakumar speaks exclusively to NDTV on Congress's brand Bengaluru and says it's a global investment. Billionaire Warren Buffett is set to retire. Deputy Greg Abel is set to head the Berkshire Hathaway. Another ceasefire violation by Pakistan along the LOC was reported last night. Remember, this is the 10th straight night of ceasefire violation by Pakistani troops. The ceasefire agreement is in tatters as the Indian Army had responded promptly and proportionately to the unprovoked small arm fire that was seen across the LOC in areas opposite Kupwara, Baramulla, Pooch, Rajouri, Medar, Naushera, Sundarbani and Akhnur. Remember, this was the biggest ceasefire violation yet. Now, in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack, Prime Minister Modi has vowed to take decisive action. The Prime Minister held a meeting with the Navy Chief as well as the Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah, who discussed the situation in Jammu and Kashmir. In response to the attack, India has suspended trade, shipping and mail services with Pakistan. And Pakistan, on the other hand, has test-fired ballistic missiles, sparking concerns. And India has given its security forces a free hand to take action, rattling Pakistan.
You see the meeting with the Prime Minister's meeting with the Navy Chief, it has come after India issued orders about banning Pakistani ships into the India's sea areas and prohibiting Pakistani ships from docking at Indian ports and even then banning any postal services, also any imports from Pakistan or the imported transiting from Pakistan. So because transiting is very important, where there was very less trade between India and Pakistan, almost negligible. But for example, Afghanistan would trade with India and it was happening through Pakistan, and Pakistan would earn transit charges from both the sides. So that is gone. Even the things, whatever originates from Pakistan has been banned. Pakistan on its side has also banned Indian ships to enter or vessels enter into the Pakistan's area. So it is clearly the escalating spiral, whatever way you look at it, whether it is in the sea or on the ground. There has been issues, as you can see in the pictures. Yesterday, Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah also met with the Prime Minister, though JNK's elected government has no role when it comes to the security and law and order. But clearly what was discussed was the situation post Pahalgam terror attack, which has a huge impact on everything in Jammu and Kashmir, particularly tourism, and the overall feel-good atmosphere which was generated for last several years, and that appears to have been completely, reversed and shattered. People are fearful that something horrible may be happening. Many people are saying that India may take action sooner or later against Pakistan. On the ground, we see there have been continuous ceasefire violations along the line of control.
In an exclusive chat with NDTV, Shiv Sena MP Milind Deora spoke about Uddhav Thackeray's silence on the Pahalgam terror attack. Deora slammed the Thackeray family for not speaking up on the attack and for skipping the all-party meeting. Listen in.
You recently tweeted about how the Thackeray's are right now vacationing while the country is going through a tough time.
Yes, I did. It's very unfortunate that parties that play politics on issues like terrorism are nowhere to be seen when the Pahalgam attack happened. When the Pahalgam attack happened and Maharashtrians were stranded in Kashmir, the only leader who led from the front, who went to Kashmir, brought victims back home safely, gave them the assurance that the state is with you, is Mr. Eknath Shinde. Thackeray family were in Europe, simply commenting via Twitter, when the government of India called an urgent all-party meeting to get support from all political parties. Not one MP from the UBT party attended that meeting.
We did see senior Congress leader Priyank Khadge recently saying that Narendra Modi has created an image of action war hero, and right now he's not doing anything regarding the attacks that happened in Pahalgam.
Look, I'm not sure what statement the opposition has made, but I can only say one thing through you, that if the opposition tries to politicize the issue of national security, it will backfire very badly on them. And I say this as a Mumbaikar. Today, not a single terror attack has happened in Mumbai in the last 11 years or 12 years. And I saw what was happening before that. I was an MP. I know how much a city like Mumbai suffered. So, national security, foreign policy is this government's strong point. The fact that India, during a Ukraine-Russia war, was able to maintain close relations with the West, yet buy oil from Russia, shows you that under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India's foreign policy is stronger than ever.
Now, reports by an open-source intelligence team on Pakistan's supposed forensic proof shows Pakistan's blatant support for terrorism. Let me take you through the evidence which exposes Pakistan's doublespeak on terrorism. First up, the WhatsApp call recordings. Now, alleged terrorists were captured by Pakistan on April 25th. The ISPR had then miraculously produced his call recordings, and the WhatsApp call recordings were from a year ago. So the question now being raised is, did ISI allow these attacks despite knowing? The second evidence is the screenshots of these chats. Now, the screenshots taken were from right after the messages were sent. And how did ISPR access Majid's chats from 2024 is the question here. And was the alleged Indian handler online when the ISPR had taken the screenshot? Now, thirdly, the drone that Pakistan claimed was Indian was found at a terrorist house, but a simple Google image reverse search shows that it's a Chinese DJI drone, and the Pakistani army didn't produce any proof of a drone. The fourth evidence is a money trail. The handler said that they won't deposit over 10,000 into the terrorist accounts, but the alleged Indian handler said this to avoid the scanner of the ISI is what we're learning. And why did the handler then eventually start paying 100,000 in the terrorist account? And where the alleged Indian handlers using Pakistani online gateways is another question being raised. The fifth evidence is the IED training. The alleged Indian JCO had spoken to the terrorist in Punjabi. But the question that's being raised now is, why send the video of the IED training in Urdu or Hindi? The sixth evidence and the final one is the naming the serving Indian officers. DG ISPR had given no proof of how they identified these Indian handlers. There was no proof of any Indian number or ISP logs, and the former Indian Army man's name that's been used as well, and DG ISPR had failed to establish his role in the defence services. I'm being joined at this point by Dr. Tara Karta, former Director of National Security Council Secretariat. Thank you for joining us, ma'am. Firstly, help us understand in detail how Pakistan has been exposed on various claims that it's made in its attempt to hide fostering terrorists on its soil.
You know, Aarti, at one level, I really collapsed laughing when I heard